Oh, that's why you mad? Cause Molly brag? Or cause I copped that bag? Or cause
Hello once again. Another episode, A-League episode 114. And not just any episode, but we're doing part 2 of our NBA mock draft. We did part 1. Last week, just to run down who we already picked. James Wiseman, first to Golden State. We picked Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, second to Cleveland. For the third pick last week, we picked LaMelo Ball to Minnesota. The fourth was Denny Avdija to Atlanta. Killian Hayes went fifth to Detroit. Tyrese Halliburton, sixth to New York. Obi Toppin went to Chicago. Onyeka Okongwu went to Charlotte. Cole Anthony was the ninth pick to the Washington Wizards. RJ Hampton, 10th to the Phoenix Suns. To the San Antonio Spurs, Nico Mannion. The 12th overall selection in our mock draft was the Sacramento Kings. Devin Vassell, we picked Devin Vassell. New Orleans, Tyrese Maxey out of Kentucky, we picked him 13th to the Pelicans. Precious Achiuwa, Portland, at the 14th pick, and with the 15th pick in last week's mock draft, we chose Kira Lewis to Orlando. So just to run down our 1 through 15 that we picked. So for number 16, I don't think he was off the board, but I'm gonna go with Isaac Okoro from Auburn.
Good pick.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with him at the
That's a good pick.
the 16th. Yeah. So Isaac Okoro to Minnesota.
I'm surprised he wasn't off the board sooner, honestly.
Yeah, I had to kind of look back, I guess, at that mock draft and everything, and see if he was off the board. I thought that maybe for a split second when I rewatched last week's episode, I thought maybe he was, but yeah, Isaac Okoro, my pick to Minnesota. So
you know I wasn't drafting nobody from the fake MHS.
I know. I should have known. You had a chance, and I knew you was gonna pass on it. I should have known. That's fair. Hey, you keep the same energy, like they say, right? So you keep. I respect it. Wow, you passed up on Isaac. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Who's got the next? Who's got the pick? Who's trying you up?
I think you do, Eric. I think you.
Oh, it's me. It's me. Oh, okay.
Boston.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Patrick Williams. FSU. I've only seen literally. I can only say this to be honest. I've only seen 2 games of him, vaguely, if I remember that. My thing is always this: Florida State. I trust Florida State wings. I like Florida State wing players because they kind of like. Obviously, we have Jonathan Isaac that's at Orlando right now. That I still think has a good chance to be pretty special. But I don't know. I like Florida State wings though, just because they're pretty versatile. And clearly with Minnesota, even though they did Jared Culver last year, I don't trust them to pick a good point guard because they have a bad history of doing that as well because they drafted Chris Dunn a couple years ago, and that was a terrible, just didn't fit. But I just think them and point guards, they've been searching for one for so long. Tyus Jones, they drafted, I don't know. I just don't think they have a good history with that, so I feel like they're going to go for a wing. So I'm going to go Patrick Williams.
You didn't like the Johnny Flynn pick?
Yeah, man. That didn't really work out, did it, Shaw? I don't think it did. Man. Shout out Johnny Flynn.
Shout out Johnny Flynn, man. He just chilling at home, man.
He's just chilling, man. That wasn't his fault, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go Patrick Williams with that one.
Okay, gotcha. So Patrick Williams off the board to Boston. And with the 18th pick, that would be you, Jeremy, Milwaukee Bucks. What you got?
I want to go with Vernon Carey, center,
I like
power
that.
forward out of Duke. He was the top prospect in this year's high school class, and I don't think his game has this upside that many other guys have. But at the very least, he's a solid guy that you can plug in, flip-flopping with Giannis. I know that their bigs are getting older. They don't really have anybody looking down the line, and he may be a guy that could start. You're picking 18. You're just looking for anything you can find that sticks. A rotational guy or a guy that can eventually become a starter. I don't think he's an all-star. I don't think he's going to be high ceiling guy, but I think that's a solid add to their roster that's competing for a championship. So, yeah.
And that's and that I think really is they're selecting at an interesting place, like you said, because they're one of those teams that when you look at them at the draft board, like a lot of these teams, obviously they're either looking to fill needs or looking to build for the future. But like you said, Milwaukee is Milwaukee is one of those teams that can kind of be, I guess, somewhat open as far as like with their with who they decide to select, because like you said, they are competing for a championship, and their main thing right now is really to just continue to shore up that team, and put as much as they can around Giannis to build that team into the championship contender that they have become. And in addition, want to do more to, of course, convince Giannis to stay in Milwaukee long term, because that's something that we talked about many a times, as far as like just doing that when you're a small market team. But yeah.
Now, one thing we do know is whoever they draft, because of who their head coach is, I think we all familiar with, he doesn't play rookies anyway. So whoever drafts him at this point, at that spot, it really doesn't matter, because Coach Bud doesn't play rookies anyway, unless you literally have a 15-man roster of rookies, which is not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, salute to anybody who gets drafted in the first round to Milwaukee. That's an accomplishment, but just know that your first year, it's going to be tough to get some minutes off the bench.
Red shirt year.
The red shirt year, exactly.
You're a freshman going straight to JV, no matter what.
Hey, you better get used to it, baby.
Invest in some businesses and get ready to chill and watch basketball like everybody else.
You're going to be getting Giannis's towel, you're going to be getting his Gatorade. Like, bro, you might as well be quick with it. You know what I mean? That's what you're going to be doing your first year, but you're not going to be on the court. But weren't we all hype about, what's his name? Our man, Villanova dude, DiVincenzo.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo.
Love him, right? He balled out, you know what I mean? The last March Madness, we were all hyped. And then, like, what happened, bro, this year? Like, he was in and out G League. He's like, could barely get off the bench. He's got a couple minutes here and there.
Skip said he was better than Trae Young. And then,
are you serious?
Yeah. And then someone on Twitter, a Bucks fan, actually said he is better than Trae Young because defense matters. So
okay, I'm not. We're not even gonna dignify that on this podcast.
Yeah, that's like, come on,
that's
bro.
ridiculous.
Jesus, man.
Oh my God, I didn't be drug tested.
What can you do? What can you do? That is what that is. I like.
Who we got next?
Yeah,
that is a good pick, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Probably one of those, like you said, because of the Milwaukee factor and because of the Bud factor, probably will be one of those things that will be like sort of underrated, but still, still pretty good. All right, moving on. That would be 19. And that 19th pick, held by Brooklyn, held by Shad.
Yes, sir. So Brooklyn, as you guys know, they're pretty set. Or like if everybody comes back, if they re-sign everybody, Dinwiddie's a free agent this year. Joe Harris is a free agent this year. So I think when you start to get to these teams, these middle of the round to late round teams, you look more like just best player available. And a guy that I watched this weekend, in addition to Pat Williams, shout out Pat Williams, very physical wing, 6'8" guy, 18 years old. He turns 19 in August, very young. But another guy that I really liked that I watched this weekend was Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels out of Washington. Kid is about 6'10". His game reminds me a lot of like KD. Like he's from Seattle, and I could really see that KD influence in him, like watching him as a kid, because he has the nice, face-up game, perimeter game, the nice little dribble crossover into the pull-up jump shot. It's smooth, just like KD. He can like he's the tallest player on the floor most times, and he's just handling the rock like he's a guard, and he's shooting the ball like he's a guard, like he shoots from the volleyball line. And it's just I don't know. I was very thrown off by watching his highlights because he's also on defense, plays like KD where he blocks the shots like so aggressively and so like he blocks it like a volleyball. So I think Jaden Daniels is probably the best player available at this point on the board, and to ironically learn under KD to get that opportunity, I think that would be great for him in his career and his progress. So Jaden McDaniels.
Throw another name out there with Jaden McDaniels because I'm also a fan as well, Rashad. You were talking about the KD comparison. I kind of see Brandon Ingram a little bit, just with the way they're built. So I think that's interesting that then I compared Brandon Ingram coming out to KD. So I think that's very interesting that you see that as well. So yeah, I think that's a great pick for them.
Jaden
I
had a really interesting year, too, in Washington because he he has such a weird, not weird, but interesting like transition because in high school it was like his buzz was there from like it picked up, like he gained steam because he's on. I don't know what it is, guys. Something about the West Coast kids. It's like you hear about them, they're there, but it's like they pick up. So a lot of times they can pick up that like momentum and people are starting to know them more later in their high school career. But like people would like talk about him like he was legit and that we were sleeping on him. Everybody on the East Coast was sleeping on whatever. Then he goes to Washington. He's still like out of sight, out of mind a little bit. And Washington wasn't, for some reason, they played hard, but they just were not able to get in sync. But like he himself watching them, I'll be critical. I didn't see what was so special about him. Um, I do, like you said, his size is interesting enough, like that there's like a room for some type of like he's talented. He has the wingspan. Yeah, he can handle a little bit. I still think he needs some work on it, but like yeah, there's this mold that he fits that you can plug him in if he wants to. Like as soon as he gets in the league, if he wants to just keep working on that catching and shooting, I think that's his biggest thing he could probably work on. But just so like he can like sit in and like he can actually contribute right away is catch and shoot. But outside of that, yeah, he just got to get stronger and whatnot. But I think he is an interesting like sleeper in this draft, I would say, because last year if you would have talked to people, they would have been like maybe he could have gone a little higher. And now this year, like we're seeing him, we're picking him like later in the 20s. He's kind of falling off a little bit just because of his 1 year at Washington. But yeah, he's a kid that's pretty interesting in this draft.
It's almost like the case of the Paul George with him. I know Paul George played at Fresno State, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see anything impressive about him coming out, to be honest. But when you talk about just the raw size and catch and shoot, measurable stuff, you take a chance because the NBA draft is like catch lightning in a bottle, especially with the raw when you have the raw ability and the raw frame and stuff. You just kind of hope it catches on and they get in the right situation and they blossom. That's pretty much what happened with Paul George. So, yeah.
Exactly. That's a good point you made, E, about that transition, because like you said, it is something where we see a lot, because a lot of these draftees, most of the time when we talk about them, they're usually like East Coast or Southeast or Midwest. And there have been kids, of course, that have come in the past, obviously from the West Coast. But I think that would be an interesting transition. I think that's kind of why I thought, like, when I made the pick on the last episode we did, and I picked Cole Anthony to Washington, I felt like that wouldn't be that daunting of a transition, because North Carolina is right down the
Mm-hmm.
road from Washington D.C. So I think that would be interesting, as far as if as far as that pick to Brooklyn, because that East Coast transition, I think that it can be a lot for some kids, as we know. But it's I feel like it's one of those issues where any transition is probably a good transition when all of a sudden you're getting paid even a rookie contract. I mean, so I think
Yeah.
that would be an interesting element to look at. And moving on, I'm actually at 20 to Philly. And like Shah was saying, I think that becomes something where all of a sudden, when you make picks at this point, it really is kind of about the best player, because some of these kids, like when you get them late first round or whatever, they may see some playing time, but they're not going to see the playing time, obviously, that 1 through 15 are going to see. So So I'm looking at the so I'm looking at everything and thinking about who could very well be the best player as far as this draft could possibly. And I think one player's name that we haven't even really mentioned all that much yet is that kid from Vanderbilt, Aaron Nesmith. So I'm gonna go with him at the 20. So I heard a lot about him. Can shoot the basketball. So I think that I'm gonna go with Aaron Nesmith at 20 to the Sixers.
Okay.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of DeAndre Hunter, and I thought it was kind of interesting how, you know, I haven't heard that much about him. I heard a little more kind of like his game is like Vassell's, but Vassell's is a little more smooth, and I hear a lot about Vassell, but I don't hear as much about Nesmith. And last year, the exact same kind of prototype, DeAndre Hunter was like, DeAndre Hunter, he's the best, most NBA ready prospect. Like they love DeAndre Hunter coming out of Virginia. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah.
I think the Vanderbilt factor probably has a lot to do with why we haven't necessarily heard much about him like during the season, because it's one of those issues where Vanderbilt kind of like even in their own conference they sort of get overshadowed. It's very easy to get overshadowed when you're in the same conference as Kentucky, but yeah, I'm gonna go with him at the 20 and everything. So with him at the 20, and next pick is the Dallas pick at the 21 to the Mavericks. Who's on the clock, E?
Man, I got two picks in mind here, but let me see. I'm tempted to go with Isaiah. I'm gonna go Isaiah Stewart for Dallas. Isaiah Stewart to me, saw him once in person 2 years ago. Um, and he was in high school. He was in the Geico Nationals. He's built literally like Paul Millsap already in high school. Like in high school as a senior, he was already built like him. It's ridiculous. Very strong. Got really good soft hands. Like moves well. Uses his body. He obviously is like undersized. Is that like I think I'd say 6'7" ish, whatever. But he can bang and he wants to rebound. He doesn't mind doing dirty work. I think for Dallas, I think with me, when I look at them, I feel like they can use a little bit more toughness. They have a really well-rounded team already. They use their bigs well. They're pretty athletic and whatnot. But I don't know. I like Isaiah to add like a little bit more toughness to them. And I think he'll figure out how to use. He seems like a smart enough kid that he'll figure out how to use his size as an advantage in the NBA. Like he seems like to catch on and learn things quickly. Like I said earlier, Washington wasn't that fun to watch, and they struggled a lot last season. But like he was definitely like the brightest part of all that because even though he probably could have done more, probably could have scored more, I think he sacrificed a little bit for the sake of the team and did a lot of dirty work as well. So like I don't know, I'm a big fan of Isaiah Stewart. I think he would be a good pick for them.
Interesting pick too. Definitely, definitely interesting because that's as we all know is a team on the rise. Obviously, since they have
Mm-hmm.
Luka and everything. But yeah, and I think that I think that that's also looking at it from the perspective of a potential like draftee. I think that would be like an exciting, really experience to get to play on the same team, on the same team as Luka, on a team that may not necessarily like, sort of gets overlooked as far as being, a contender. But I know for sure, like if I was a draftee and it was something where I was to be picked by Dallas, or if I was to be picked by, another team that may very well be on the rise, I think that for a draftee, I think that's something where it would make me think, okay, that's kind of a situation where, okay, I get to play alongside Luca, in a city who that franchise has been re-energized. I think that would be a great experience for whomever does get drafted number 21 to Dallas. And the same thing actually could apply to our next selection, 22 to Memphis. So Jeremy, that would be you. So who you got joining John Morant in Memphis?
I'm going to go with Theo Maladon from France. He's a 6'5" point guard. Um, I don't think they need a point guard. Obviously, they have John Morant, and they will have John Morant for the next while. And I think that You know, he's clearly the franchise guy, but you know, you need backup point guard. Backup point guard is one of the most undervalued position in the league because you know your star is the point guard. So you know you got to find ways to allow him to rest. And you can't when you get in these 7 game series, you have to have a valuable guy. Look at Toronto last year with Fred Van Fleet. You know, you obviously have Kyle Lowry, but you know Van Fleet was huge for that team. So Maladon's a crafty French point guard. I mean, he's got size, he's athletic. It's going to take him a while to kind of fill in and develop a little bit as it would any rookie. So, I just think that's the best player on the board at this point. And when you're a playoff team on the rise, you just continue to take the best athletes you can find and figure it out from there. So that's where I'm at with that one.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, like you said, now we're, since it's late first round, now we're getting into more of these, into more of these picks and more of these teams that are more already playoff contenders. So like I was saying earlier, that's just, that's a situation where, these teams, they're just gonna pick who they want to pick and, see if they can pretty much, put that, in there. And I think, like I was just saying with Dallas, that's another situation where, oh, wow, I get to play with John Morant. So I think that too, I think is a sort of an interesting dynamic. And another thing that I think is also critical as far as, with these picks and everything is now we start to see, like, because sometimes we just never know. We focus so much on that top 15 or that top 10, but you never know exactly, like, you could end up finding, maybe not perennial all-stars, but maybe pieces to championship teams in some of these picks. So, it's one of those things where some of these, like 16 to 30, like what we're doing right now, those can be as every bit as important because, now we're getting into teams, obviously, that's trying to put, together that pieces the championship puzzle. And up next, after that 22nd pick, now we got number 23 to Denver. So, Shad, the Denver Nuggets and you are now on the clock. Who you got?
All right. So with Denver, they're a team. I think they epitomize like this. We're good. We good. Like I looked at the person I wanted. I originally thought I had Memphis. I did it wrong. And I thought this person fit Memphis perfectly. The whole grind city, culture, bringing that back. Ja obviously has that dog in him, but I think this dude is someone who could help fit into that culture. They just lost Jay Crowder through that trade with Miami at the deadline. So I'm just going to stick with this guy since I was set on picking him anyway. You look at this position they have. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is who Denver has at this position. MPJ, Jamari Grant, Gary Harris, Will Barton, Torrey Craig, and then Keita Bates-Diop. So other than those last two guys, those are all studs, man. I'm going to go with Sadiq Bey from Villanova. I love his game. He's one of my favorite guys that I watched in this draft class, and I think he's going to have a real good career. His fit with Denver, I don't really know, but they're literally stacked at every position. So
that's the toughest thing with Denver is looking for, because they draft like you said, they're in like just looking at the roster, like they're pretty covered at every position. Now they don't get exactly I think they still looking for shooting, right? And Sadiq can do that because now like Gary Harris is like he's had like if I'm not mistaken, just watching a little bit, it's like he struggled this season. So I think they're a little disappointed.
Hey, Eric, but
they're a little
who's
disappointed.
been in his bag in the bubble?
Who?
Troy
Bobo.
Daniels. Bobo, but Troy Daniels. Troy Daniels has been he had like 28 yesterday.
I saw him. He was running point guard like their first scrimmage or their first game, and I was just like, Troy Daniels can run point guard. I was like, okay, and he was handling well.
But
no,
yeah,
he was.
He was stroking that thing too, though.
He was. Yeah, Troy can shoot. He's always been VCU.
Yeah. So you talking about shooting? Hey, shout out Troy Daniels.
Yeah, no, facts.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, that's I like that for sure. Going to Denver, going to the Mile High City. Yeah, that's another, one of those, like you said, another one of those teams on the rise, and it's just, and it's sort of, another one of those issues where not only that, but they kind of get overlooked because, they don't necessarily play in the, in the biggest of markets. But yeah, people be sleeping on Denver sometimes, with all the other teams in the, with all the other teams in the league. And Shad, I got to get you on that because, it's so amazing. Like you said, you just picked, with that Sadiq Bey pick. Ironically, you kind of took one of my picks because I was planning on you kind of took one of my picks right there because I was planning on going with him 24th to Miami. So if I'm a GM in the Miami Heat war room, I'm like, dang it. We was like, time to start thinking about trade deals. But
hey, he fits that culture too. That Heat culture, the Jimmy Butler waking up 2 a.m. He fits that.
Yeah, he kind of does. He kind of does. But yeah, I think you was onto something. But yeah, that's one of those another one of those like underrated picks. But yeah, coming from Villanova, you can't go wrong, picking Villanova guys. But yeah, I'm on the board once again at 24 to at 24 to Miami, and with Shot in Denver, pretty much taking my pick, it sort of puts me in a, sort of puts, yours truly in a little bit of a bind, but it is what that is. And with that, with that pick, to, with, like I said, with Shot pretty much, taking my pick, as opposed to that, I think I'm just once again like go with just need and just go with Reggie Perry out of Mississippi State. So I'm gonna go with him to
Shout out, Reggie.
Shad, did you get a chance to see dude? Do you know a little bit
I
about
haven't.
dude?
I didn't. Like a lot of people have asked
Me
me
neither.
that during this time. I haven't come to Starkville. Starkville's
Okay.
like 2.5 hours away from where I'm at. But of course, I definitely paid more attention to his game by game, just reading the game stories and copy editing them and stuff. He's been a
Yeah.
double machine this year in Starkville. Obviously, a 5-star guy, All-American coming out of high school. Someone I watched in high school at McDonald's 2018. I had high hopes for him. He didn't necessarily put himself as one of those diaper dandies, but
Yeah.
he's had a heck of a career. Definitely the best player on Mississippi State. Even though a lot of mock drafts haven't considered him the best NBA prospect from Mississippi State, I think he's hands down the best player. Double machine, tough hands, just a old school bruiser.
So that was that that last pick for sure. I picked Reggie Perry to Miami, just so you know. Now we moving on to number 25. Once again, bringing in the crowd. Once again, booing the commissioner and all that good stuff. You on the clock. Who you got?
Boy.
You up there in the city? Who you got for the Knicks?
Wow. The Knicks. Shout out Tom Thibodeau, new head coach, right? So whoever comes in, get ready to play about 50 minutes a night. I think looking at their roster, the Knicks need Jesus. No, but I'm gonna go with, this is a tough one here because I know they need point guard help and they need it bad because Elfrid Payton and
They need everything.
I know. Like, what is
Everything
it? we go. I'm gonna go with because I'm gonna go with Josh Green. Josh Green's not off the board, right?
No, but I was gonna let you know they took Halliburton earlier in this mock draft.
Okay, yeah, I'm going Josh Green. Josh Green honestly has fallen like way too far down because I thought about taking him earlier with Dallas, but I'm gonna go Josh Green with this one here. He's reliable 3D player. Arizona, went to IMG in Florida, so he's from like a really good basketball like lineage from Australia, but he's like really solid. He looked like a pro when like if you go to IMG, you look like a pro anyway, but like he looked like a pro back 2 years ago. So he's a guy that's going to come in, I think, and be solid. Like, you just need somebody reliable. I don't know if he's going to be a star type. People try to compare him to like Devin Booker just because of their size a little bit. I don't really see that with him, but I think he's somebody that can be very consistent. Like, I can see him averaging somewhere between 12 and 15. And give you a couple assists, like playmaker. He can score. Like, he's just very much like an all-around player. So I like Josh Green in New York. I think he would be a good pick for them.
I haven't watched Green myself, but shouts out
to he played with Nico too, like, in Arizona.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's I'm a big fan of Josh Green.
Right, absolutely, and that was another good point you made about the IMG about the IMG Academy and everything. You like you said, you come out of that academy, that's definitely a good look for you. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting though, like especially after the fact that Halliburton is off the board and everything. Just and especially now that they've announced the hire of Thibodeau and everything, I kind of wonder exactly like just how those how all of that will fit, because I think that now that they've made this hire, that's going to be something where they're going to want to try and pick somebody that they feel like can go ahead and really fit that whole system of what he wants to do up there in New York. So I think it would be interesting.
I think on top of that, I'm sorry, but Josh is a good pick for that. That's a great point too. Just like how he fits, because we know how Thibodeau wants his defense and how defensive oriented is. So the Knicks, it's not like they could score points anyway, but they're gonna definitely like shift towards that more defensive mind. And I think Josh is he's a really good on-ball defender as well. So I think he's gonna fit as well with Thibodeau's system. But for the guys that are there now, if you can get out of New York, you better, because you're not ready to play defense, or you're not ready to play those minutes that he's going to demand. It's going to be ugly in New York that first month or two. It's going to be real ugly.
You said the Knicks can't score. They put up about a 40 ball on the Hawks, didn't it?
Yeah, I know. Listen. For some reason, when the Knicks play us, bro, I don't like. What is it? Like, what is it about us that we can't? I'm like not
they
watching
beat them
Knicks
by like 20 both times,
bro. Yes,
like twice.
We went before I came home last time. I was so excited. Went to the Knicks Hawks game. Got blown out by 30. You know what I mean? Like Vince Carter got the standing ovation. I don't know why, but it's just that whole thing. I was like, bro, we getting blown out by 30, bro. Like me and my coworker were like, dog, like what is we can't beat the Knicks.
You should have went to the preseason game.
I should have went to the preseason game.
The preseason,
so right,
Vince hit the game winner. Vince hit
he
3
did.
threes in a row
right.
in the second quarter. That was Vince. That was his highlight of the season. That preseason game, he went off against the Knicks. I'm like, I can't believe the Knicks let 44-year-old Vince Carter do this to them.
That's everybody that plays the Hawks.
Yeah.
That's everybody that plays the Hawks. It's like all these teams, all of a sudden, for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's like I don't know what it is like when all of a sudden they play the Hawks. I don't know if it's a thing that they circle on their calendar. I don't know if it's something where they doing the Lou Williams stuff. Like it's something that like you were saying, like when teams all of a sudden when they step into State Farm Arena, it's like it turns teams that would not even look like playoff teams, and it turns them into looking like playoff teams.
RJ Barrett was looking like KD, bro. Like I don't understand.
Y'all remember when Karl Anthony Towns was playing video games and he was streaming with Ben Simmons? And,
yeah.
He was like, who y'all got? The Hawks. He's like, oh, you got plenty of time. And then Karl Anthony Towns put up like a career high 50 points. He put up a career high like 50 points, bro.
Bro, he was on KO. He was on Call of Duty chilling. He's not even worried about us.
But those were the different Hawks. That was Malcolm Delaney, Kent Bazemore Hawks.
It's so real. And was that long ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. That explains that.
Because you had to think them dudes been in the league a while now.
So yeah, they have. That is true.
Crazy.
Malcolm Delaney.
We're getting old, but yeah.
Has State Farm Arena pretty much become like MSG South for teams, where it's like, yeah.
I do want to see people's career highs in our arena. What career highs do we have in our arena? We gotta look that up. That's like our next stat.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is the magic is motivation.
The magic is motivation. The magic. Okay.
Motivation for Lou Williams to get out of the bubble.
You know what?
10-day quarantine, man. He's gonna miss a couple games for that. Like, was it worth it? Was it worth it, bro?
For those
somebody average 35 off the bench.
Yeah. It's that crazy. Lou is ridiculous, man. Lou he's not human, bro. To average, like you said, like he the only dude get 50 off a bench, like on occasion, bro. Him and Jamal Crawford. Shout out Jamal Crawford. But yeah, with
professional scorer.
Lou come in for a quarter and drop 30.
Yeah.
Just play the whole quarter, Lou. We ain't gonna play you no more tonight.
He
Okay. Bucket.
I was trying to think with the career highs in Phillips Arena and State Farm now. Allen Iverson had like a 50 ball, I believe. He had like the arena high, and then Shareef Abdul-Rahim put up 50 once, and then Trae Young put up 50 once. So those are like the career highs. If I had to think of a random guy getting a career high over there, it was probably Damian Wilkins when he was on Seattle and the 2 overtime game KD's rookie year, and KD hit the game winner in double overtime over Al Horford, I believe it was. Damian Wilkins had like 42 that game, bro. And then I think Nate Robinson had a game where he had like 47 in Atlanta too. I was at both of those
remember
games.
Terrence Ross having a big game against the Hawks.
Yo, Terrence Ross did. I think that was in Orlando though, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he's had a big game in Atlanta. I know he's one of those random guys who had like 50
He just goes off.
games.
He'll just blow up out of nowhere. He's like, where did that come from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Corey Brewer have had 2 of the most random 50 balls in NBA history.
Remember Andre Miller?
Andre Miller. I knew
Andre
you about to go
Miller
there.
kill the Hawks.
Wait,
Andre Miller used to kill the Hawks.
Andre Miller used to kill. Who's the other one? Who's my buddy that played with LeBron, Cleveland? Why am I forgetting him right now? Point guard. Damn it.
Booby.
He went off. What is it?
Booby?
Not Booby.
Oh,
wait.
Mo.
Yeah, Mo. Mo went off for like almost 6 with the Pacers or something like that. He almost like 60 it was like years ago. But yeah.
Oh no,
another random.
You talking? Oh yeah, Mo went off a couple times where he
did.
Like,
yeah, it was
I think he had like 50 back to back or something like that.
It was something crazy.
But it was also Michael Redd used to do that a lot too. But Michael Redd was actually legit. But
Michael Redd has one of this.
Ramon Sessions was another one of those random guys who had like.
It's funny because we just naming just average NBA players. That just but they didn't just do nothing against nobody else. Gilbert Arenas used to kill the Hawks too.
Oh yeah, but Arenas was a everybody. He killed the whole league. Yeah, he killed the whole league.
Yeah, he killed the whole league.
But Ramon Sessions had like back-to-back nights where he had like 57 or something like that, bro. And he was like a dude who was like constantly in the G League. I never understood why Ramon Sessions always was sent to the G League.
Those guys like get hot, can't stay hot.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that definitely, like I said, it certainly like makes you think like what all of a sudden they, what happens when, like you said, like that's why I believe, more than ever, like State Farm Arena is becoming like MSG South. But yeah, that was what that was. So who you got at the 26, Jay?
What team am I picking with? I got the
Boston.
Oh, of course.
Your favorite team.
Yeah.
Your favorite team.
I'm gonna pick Larry Bird today. No, I kid. I'm gonna say Alexei Pokovitsky.
I love it.
7-footer, center, a little light for me, 190 pounds. Why is Rashad laughing?
I never heard Jeremy be so high on international prospects before today. This is his second international prospect.
2020 is doing something different to him.
Jeremy,
2020 is changing.
Like, if you guys don't know, you guys could go back and watch some early episodes of the A-League. Jeremy loves getting on international prospects.
He loves it. He lives for it.
Watch the Hawks draft Vladimir Radmanovic.
Yeah.
And even though that's an actual player, shout out Vladimir Radmanovic. He would make up names like that. I couldn't think of a random first name.
Vladimir Vučković.
Dang.
Hey, but hey, shout out to Alex. If you're watching this, Alex, it's nothing personal against you.
No, it's not personal. Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna do fine in the NBA. Shouts out to you.
I mean, I have a reason for this pick. Okay. I'm gonna explain a little deeper. I don't think this is the best player available, but looking at Boston as a franchise, they're trying to win a championship. They've already got a lot of bodies on their roster right now that and I don't think that the 20. Let's see, what pick is this? I don't think the 26th pick in the draft is going to make much difference in pushing them over the edge, regardless of who they pick right now. And they've already picked once at 17. So they've already got a young player, and then they got another pick at 30. So this is an opportunity for them to kind of draft and stash a guy with some upside at a position of need for them. I don't really think they have any guys that they would like to have there long term at the center position. And I think 7 foot or 190, you throw about 25 pounds on this guy, and in 2 years, that's a guy you can rely on to at very least be a rebounder. And I haven't seen much of this guy. I don't know what kind of game he has, but this is a draft and stash. So because I know they got another pick coming at 30. So that's why I kind of feel that way about this guy. So yeah.
And that's not even taken into consideration, like you said, because of the fact that they have those, those 2 picks. That's not even considering the fact that, because another thing later in the round, you got other teams that are probably looking at the fact that there are teams with multiple picks, and they're thinking, okay, maybe we may want to do a deal because we want to go ahead and we want to maybe trade up for somebody, that we think could very well get picked before we're on the board next. So that's something that in addition to, to consider as well. So that's 26. That's 26 to Boston. Shad, you on the clock. 27 OKC. Who you got?
So, fellas, this is what we would call a live pick. This is what we'll call a live pick because I thought I had my pick, and then I thought about it. I was like, this can go either way. So I'm going to look at who the point guards that OKC has. They have the 6th man of the year, Dennis Schroeder, our guy. They have Chris Paul, rejuvenated Chris Paul, legendary Chris Paul. They also have an SGA who could play point if need be. You're talking about long term, who's going to be there in a couple of years. Don't really see many options for them at point guard. Also, you could go with the best player and the guy who fits their system, like a young, exciting wing who could score. You could go Cassius Stanley. You could go Jamias Ramsey from Texas A&M. I think I'm going to go point guard here. There's a couple. This is the part of the draft. You have a couple good point guards. I don't know if I want to go point guard. I'm thinking about it. I think I'm going to just go point guard. I'm going to go Cassius Winston from Michigan State. That's Eric's boy. To have the opportunity to sit behind someone like Chris Paul, one of the greatest point guards ever. His IQ is already high. He already has. I don't know if he literally fits. Like I like the LA fit and the Toronto fit better for Cassius Winston. But just looking towards the future for OKC. CP3 is not there long term. He's at the end of his career. SGA can slide to the point guard position, and then you have Schroeder. Who else do you have? Nobody else. So just looking towards the future. I'm going to go there.
Yeah, I was wondering. SGA is interesting because I don't know if he's – well, like you said, this depends on style of play, like how Billy Donovan wants him to play. But, like, SGA, like you said, he can cheater. I think we already know about like CP and his long-term thing. But, like, I don't know. SGA, I still wonder with him because he's such a good playmaker. But it's like, where is he most effective at? We still kind of don't know because he can just do so well at both positions. So that's a good point. Like if they go point guard, I wouldn't be shocked because Schroeder we know is just he's best served as a. I'm gonna be nice for sure. No, but he's best served off the bench.
Good player,
but
good player.
Yeah, this is good. So I'll leave him alone. But yeah, no. I think a point guard for them would be like if people are like shocked and like why are they doing this? I would want them to look at the roster again and realize like you have to look long term. So I kind of feel you on that one. Yeah.
But all that being said, I don't trust nothing from Michigan State. So I don't trust nothing from Michigan State.
Nothing? Not a damn thing?
Not on the basketball court. Nothing. When the Hawks drafted Adrian Payne, that scarred me. That was it.
Oh, that was it. You haven't let that. That's fair.
That was it.
Oh,
and I told y'all when it happened, I said, "Don't touch Adrian Payne." And as soon as I put it out of my mouth, the segment and whatever pick it was. And how many plays did he play? 15, maybe.
He was out, man. He did the meme. He disappeared.
Immediately. The only
what about Draymond? You don't like Draymond?
Draymond was an accident.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, facts.
Everybody passed on Draymond. until
Yeah,
35,
bro.
and they were like, "Let's give him a shot." He was the best player in college basketball. He just
Yeah.
happened to find a role on the best team in the last decade. So
I mean,
I don't think Draymond's that great of a player. If you just
Draymond stayed 4 years, right? He stayed about 10 years, so you better
there
get
for
drafted.
15,
You
he
stay
was there
10
for
years.
15 years, so he ought to
Yeah.
know something.
Yeah.
He was the coach for a little while, so
Did,
Yeah,
did,
he
did
did
Perry
that.
Ellis get drafted?
Perry Ellis, let's go.
Perry Ellis
Perry
still
Ellis
plays
got,
for Kansas. He in this
yeah,
draft. He's the next
yeah,
pick.
If I was Perry Ellis, I would look. I would put my name in every draft. I really would though. I'm putting in
No
every
one would
draft.
notice. No one would notice. They'd be like, "Oh,
notice.
Perry Ellis is on the board. We'll take him next year."
We'll take
Oh,
Perry
Perry
Ellis.
Ellis is on the board. We'll take him. Didn't we take him last year? No, because why
Oh,
would he be on the board
He
then?
sent him back to Kansas.
He's just gonna keep changing his appearance. He's gonna grow a fro. He's gonna get braids. He's gonna get a Jerry curl, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, that's not Perry Ellis."
He got an extra year for paternity leave 1 year, so you know.
Yeah, you know what I
granted
mean?
an
He's
extra
a
year.
10-year vet in college.
I had to take
Joakim Noah in college.
Yeah, Joakim Noah for real.
Perry Ellis had kids.
He's
He was
still in Florida.
He definitely had some kids while he was in college, bro. I know that.
He's still in Florida.
Perry Ellis played on the first team Dr. Naismith came up with.
Oh my God.
He was the best player on that team.
But Perry
remember.
Ellis was actually recruited to Kansas by Roy Williams.
Oh my God.
By who?
By Roy Williams. That's a good iron shot. You got it. Look at that.
You know the guy who been in North Carolina for 40 years? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Who?
That guy. Yeah. That guy.
What? Huh? Come again? Recruited Kansas. Wow. I didn't even know that. I just learned something new. I just
Wait,
learned something new. You got Roy Williams recruiting players away from Carolina.
But before we move on to the next pick with Toronto, I'm gonna say, look at this. Toronto, as set right now, they have a bottom 3 pick in the first round. No one respected Toronto coming into the season. I just want to throw that out there. They got a bottom 3. That means they have a top 3 record in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking about them going into the bubble. You know, they've done fairly well as the defending champions. Salute to Toronto.
That is true. That is true. Everybody thought that after, that I see what you on, man. I see what you on, man.
Okay, they there.
But I see what you mean. First of all, that was an interesting point you made, Jeremy, about those Michigan State players. Lots of them have ended up being bust. That says something about Tom Izzo, like Mateen Cleaves, Mateen Cleaves, Denzel Valentine. I mean, what the heck happened to him? Like, honestly, like he just flamed out. That's one thing.
After he went to the Drew League, that was it for him. Remember, he went to the Drew League, and he got exposed. So that was it. It took his manhood. That was it.
You know what would have been interesting? What would have been interesting is if, for your last pick to OKC, if it was something where instead of that, you would have ended up like taking Isaiah Stewart, going from Washington, because the whole OKC Seattle thing is still.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting that I mentioned him because that's who I'm going with at 28, Isaiah Stewart out of Utah.
Off the board. He's off the board.
He's off the board.
Oh, he's
I already took him. I took him. I had him go to Dallas. Yep, I had him go to Dallas.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yes, I had to get him.
You smart for that, man. You smart for that.
I got you.
But
third eye, man.
Yeah. So since he off the board, I'll go Elijah Hughes out of Syracuse.
Elijah Hughes. Has anybody had a chance to see this young man?
Right. So,
I stopped watching Syracuse basketball because it is atrocious.
Yeah, me too. I quit watching them out there after.
I can't lie.
I'm trying to remember who.
They kind of have fallen off.
Who's the guy they had a couple years ago that was good? That got drafted. Malachi Richardson. That team.
Malachi. Yeah, Malachi went to Sacramento, right?
I think so.
He got drafted by Sacramento. Yeah. I mean, no, it's another one where there's always trepidation. We talked about Johnny Flynn earlier. Rashad talking about Johnny Flynn. Syracuse players, it's how, Jay, you feel about Michigan State players. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. I just feel like their system, they get caught up a little bit too much. Well, the zone and then the way they play, I don't know. I just don't ever see they haven't really had anybody special in a long time. So I don't know.
With
Yeah,
that being
Shout out
said,
my guy
that's
Bays.
why I was so shocked when Imani Bates committed there. I know he will never probably play a dribble there, but
he's never gonna play. Yeah, never. Absolutely not.
why would
You
you
were about to
even
say a snap. You were about to say
wish
a
that
snap,
on him?
Jeremy.
Like, don't you wish that even?
Mhm.
I say you were about to say a snap. Amani Bates will never play a snap at Syracuse.
Oh yeah, I was about to let snap. He will never play a snap. That I can
Quarterback it, baby.
He won't get a start. He won't play
Nah.
running back.
Shout out to Dior. Shout out to Darius
Dior.
Baisley. Shout out to Imani Bates, man. Three of didn't Imani Bates commit to Michigan State? It was
That's what he's
Michigan State,
talking
right?
about.
Okay.
That's what he's talking about. Michigan State.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't get the move. I was just like,
yeah.
why Michigan State? I could have seen Michigan, but Michigan State just doesn't.
Nobody's going to. Yeah, Michigan's struggling too these days. They can't get it. All their top recruits left. One of them went to Arizona State. Another one went to G League.
They just
they
were
struggled.
getting Christopher. They just
I know, right? They were so set. Yeah,
I think didn't he like tell them like the night before he was going to there or something like that, and then
they just felt strong. I don't know. You might know more. I just thought that they're just Michigan fans in general were just like, we got Christopher like for like a good 2 months straight, and I don't know.
You can't call your boy up real quick.
Nah, I'll see what he says.
That's
like,
E-boy. That's E-boy. If y'all don't know, that's E-boy, Jake Walt.
Listen, Jake Walt, man. Little guppy, little fish, as we call him. Yeah, but he's going to Arizona State instead. He's going to Arizona State.
Right. For sure.
All right, who got the next pick?
I believe you do, and I think it's
I do?
I think it's LA. I think
Oh
it's
my God. Oh, LeBron. I gotta get LeBron help.
Did Toronto pick yet?
I thought.
Yeah,
wait, dude.
Keem just picked for Toronto.
Man, the Lakers need a point guard. I'm gonna go Devin Dotson. I like Devin Dotson. I will say this, and I'm sure if y'all know grads from Twitter will get on me, but I call him an idiot because he thought that Tyus Jones is better than Devin Dotson like 2-3 years ago, and I've been a big fan of Devin Dotson before he entered Kansas. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say undersized, whatever the case may be, but athletic, like real heady point guard, smart, can just play make, get people involved. He's not going to like score a bunch of points, but you already have that with Rondo. You know, he's just if you can if they can like try and force Rondo into their system, I think you can try and find a spot for a better point guard who's faster, who's a little more athletic, who's not past his prime anymore. Let Rondo go, please. And I think Devin Dotson would be just a good pickup in that sense because he's gotten better with his shooting, but he still needs work in scoring department. He can get to the basket. Obviously, I said his best thing is playmaking and he can play defense. But for what they need right now, I think LeBron is AD. The system runs through down. You just need somebody that is going to play hard and that can and get people involved. So Devin Dotson is my pick. Chicago bred.
Cross-examination time for you, Eric. So you picked a point guard for LA. Not the most surprising thing. A lot of mocks are, excuse me, have a point guard going there. But you picked Dotson over Trey Jones. Both of those guys, shout out to both of them, 2018 McDonald's guys.
Yeah.
But you picked Dotson over Trey Jones.
Yeah. I think with both of them are really terrific defenders, what they do have in common. Trey is a better shooter, probably between the two, which is always like you can pretty much say anybody's a better shooter than Devin. But I think Devin's a stronger point guard in the sense of his feel for the game and how he gets to the basket. I think he just finds ways. Like he literally, it's if you watch it, he finds so many ways to get to the basket. It's pretty like. I think that he has that step over Trey. He's also a little quicker than Trey, more athletic than Trey to me. But that's a fair question compared to two. Like, why did I choose him over Trey? And I think Devin. I know he didn't get as much. I mean, he's playing for Kansas. He plays for Kansas, so it's not like he wasn't seen on television. But I think Devin has a stronger sense of like how to be a true PG than Trey. I think Trey has a scoring mentality and a defensive mentality, but when it comes to just like the feel for the game, I've always sided with Devin. I just think Devin has a really good feel for the game.
Kansas point guards have also been very underrated. Just looking back and thinking about it, or Kansas guards in general, because I know they're big. You get a lot of, they kind of got that attached thing that comes with Michigan State players as well. I kind of feel the same about them that I do about Kansas bigs, other than Embiid. But if you look at their guards, Coach Self really gets those guards ready for the NBA. So, I think if anything, he's learned more than what Trey Jones would have learned at Duke. And Coach K is a great coach. He's probably the best coach ever in college basketball. But I haven't seen many point guards that are ready coming from him going to the league.
Yeah, I think between the two as well, like you're saying, Self, like there's like a scale of it, and it's like Coach Izzo is gonna have a tight grip on his point guard, right? And like he's got to make sure he's all hands with that. Roy Williams is the same way. Like like what he did with Cole Anthony was like probably the most he's given up his rope, because he's real tight with his point guards as far as like what he wants them to do, and he gives them like a strict menu what you cannot do. But like you're saying, like Bill Self and Coach K are two that's gonna kind of let their PGs run it a little bit. But even between the two, Bill Self definitely kind of like lets his guards, he lets them dictate. Just like Villanova's coach, like he lets them kind of dictate the game. So yeah, I think that's an advantage that also that Devin has, is that he's kind of learned how to beat the show, run the show. So yeah,
we see that like with a guy like Devontae Graham. I know he wasn't a true pure point guard, but he got a lot of that creativity and flexibility in his game from playing at Kansas, because I remember when he first got there, he was just an athletic guard that could slash.
Exactly.
And he built onto his game to the point where he is one of the better two-way guards and scoring guards in the league right now. That's not really talked about a lot just because he was a second-round pick. So
yeah, but he's having a real good year. Like he's this was his year right here. He showed out. After the delay, now we've been out for 4 months. I hope he can pick that back up or whatever. But like he's the first half of this season, Devontae Graham was amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, I shouted him out in part one, man. Shouts out Devontae.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, make sure he got his flowers.
Who's the next pick?
Yeah, this is the last
actually
pick.
Not just next pick, but the last pick of our first round. That's you, Jeremy, and once again, that's you and Boston. Of course.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with Jordan Waru from Louisville. I've liked this guy's game for 2 years. I don't know why he hasn't stuck high in these mocks. Maybe it's defense. Defensively, he's not that great, I guess. I don't know what it is, because I really like his game. I could easily see him being the Kyle Kuzma of this draft, because you just look at him and he just finds ways to put the ball in the bucket. I'll take those guys any day. And looking at Boston's roster, they got Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker. Okay, then you start getting a little thin with guys that just flat out, that's all they do is put the ball in the basket. Jaylen Brown can score, but it's off other people creating. So I think this is a guy that, with the 30th pick in the draft, that not only he's an older guy, he's played at a big time college program. He can come in and actually help them early in his career and make an impact and feel a need for them early on. So yeah,
I like that.
I just want Boston to find some playing time for my boy Tremont Waters. That's all I gotta say. All right, because he can get buckets too. He can put the ball in the hoop. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. Please get some minutes, Coach. Find some minutes for Tremont Waters, please. Anyway, that's all. That's all. I had to just say that. That's it.
And Carson Edwards.
And Carson Edwards, bro. Like
I always forget they have him.
Bro, yes. Like find some playing time, please, for one of them too, because they can really get to the basket. They can put some points up.
Right, absolutely. Like I wouldn't even that was interesting. You brought up that name. I wasn't even thinking about Jordan Nwora, but I've heard I'm just like you. I've heard a lot about him, but I think that on a lot of mock drafts, I heard him like maybe mid second round or so, or maybe late second round. But Jordan Nwora, that's interesting. You got him like at the first round. So yeah, I like that pick for sure. I like that pick, and the Louisville connection. I mean, that too definitely helps, because he'd be going from one situation where he's used to his name being in the spotlight to another, to a team that is contended for a championship.
Also, I think once, I don't know if we'll have an opportunity where they'll get people together and have a combine and they'll play one-on-ones, but I think this is a guy that you fall in love with during the workouts. When you take him out of the team setting and then you just realize this guy's 6'7", he plays on the wing, he play power forward, and you put the ball in the basket. Like, that's not just out there laying around. So, yeah.
Cool, absolutely. So I think with that, we have that's our mock draft between our two episodes that we've done. So the first round is in the books, absolutely. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So let me see, absolutely. So that's pretty much it. Like that, I haven't done like too many of these, but I like doing these. I like doing these. We should do some of these more often. Who knows? Maybe it's one of those things where we could maybe even start prognosticating second round picks.
Yeah. We have a second round coming up soon, so if y'all want another week before we do that to study up a little more, we could do that. But yeah, I can run over 16:30. Just go ahead, E.
No, I was gonna say I'm just ready for the comments. All that Jeremy's gonna get all the hate.
Jeremy didn't have many hot takes today. He didn't. He said LaMelo Ball over D'Lo, and they should trade D'Lo already. That was one that really I was like,
that pissed everybody off.
I was like, dude, they just traded for D'Lo. Are you sure? He's like, yeah, LaMelo's gonna be better than D'Lo. You gonna trade Cat's best friend? He's like, well, Cat's gonna leave too. I'm like, wow, you just
wow.
Balls on the wall, man.
He said Cat's gonna pull like, bruh, like that's Cat's gonna leave.
Yeah, the comments are getting on him, man. Comments, but Jeremy is Jeremy, man. But hey, let me roll through 16 through 30 real quick. Number 16, Minnesota, Isaac Okoro. Then Boston, Patrick Williams. Milwaukee, Vernon Carey. Brooklyn, Jaden McDaniels. Philly, Aaron Nesmith. Dallas, Isaiah Stewart. Memphis, Theo Maledon. Denver, Sadiq Bey. Miami, Reggie Perry. New York, Knicks, Josh Green. Boston Celtics, Alexa Povetsky. I'm sorry, man. Cassius Winston, Toronto, Elijah Hughes. Devon Dotson to the Lakers, and Jordan Nwora to the Boston Celtics. And so some notable guys still on the board: Jamias Ramsey, blah, 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 blah. We less than a minute left. RashadMilligan.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Kobe Bryant. All right.
Jeremy Johnson, Clark _Kent _75. You know what it is.
Eric Ebo find me.
Akeem Balaam, Twittergram, Beyond the W, Prep Room, South Carolina. Check it out. Till next week. See you later, everybody.
Y'all must thought that I was gone with spread the whole time.
Y'all don't want friends, I want Audis. I don't want cars, I want Rarries.